So you're thinking of moving to Oakdale, California, but you don't really know where to start, and maybe you don't know the benefits or maybe the cons of moving there. So today I'm going to go over the pros and cons of living in Oakdale, California to give you a better idea if it's a place where you might consider actually moving. If this is your first time to the channel and you want to learn all about living here in the Central Valley of California, make sure you tap that bell for notifications and hit subscribe so you can be the first one updated. Hi, I'm Alex. I'm a realtor based out of Turlock, and I get calls from people just like you every single day looking to make a move to the Valley. So whether you want to book a Zoom call with me, send me a text, or just give me a normal phone call, I'm happy to answer and sit down with you to go over exactly what it is that you're looking for. Just a quick brief overview about Oakdale so you can get a better idea of the size of it and where it's located. It's a little bit of a smaller community with only around a 23,500 person population. It has grown substantially, but it is still considered one of a smaller area. Now, one of the biggest cities it's close to, if you're not familiar with its location, is Modesto. So Modesto has over 200,000 person population, so that gives you a good comparison of the size. Now, Oakdale was established in around 1871, and it is nicknamed the Cowboy capital of the world. So the first pro is it has a very charming small town atmosphere. If you are into those smaller towns where not necessarily everyone knows everyone, but you just know only a few schools around, it's a much smaller community, then this is going to probably be the place for you. Like I said, it's Cowboy capital of the world, so there's a lot of very unique events that occur here in Oakdale, such as the rodeo, which is annual, and that is a huge event. People come from all over the state and even the nation to come to Oakdale's the Cowboy capital to come to Oakdale's rodeo. So that's really neat. They also host other annual events like their Christmas parade, and then they have weekly events like their farmers market throughout. I think that's in the spring and summertime. So there's always some type of community events going on sporadically, and it just really has that small town feel. Now, the second pro I want to talk about, I touched on in the beginning, and that is its Western roots and the local culture there. It's a very unique and interesting town to go to. It's very cowboy, cowgirl, and rodeo centric, and it just feels like you're in a whole different community. So even as you drive around the town, there's a ton of murals throughout that represent Western culture. There's also statues of horse riders. And like I did mention, they do have the rodeo every single year, which has a huge national draw. So it's really neat how they stuck to that Western heritage and didn't let go of that. So many Central Valley towns used to be like that, in the 1800s, but have slowly modernized over town. And I just really like that Oakdale has latched onto that and stayed with it. They even have a cowboy museum where you can go check out the different history with rodeos, cowboys, cowgirls, and all that. And it's really neat. And the town's economy itself is tied pretty heavily to agriculture, so it makes sense that they stick with that westernized theme. But I would say that they've expanded as well. It's not only agricultural based, even though there's a ton of almond production in particular, there's still a lot of other jobs. And like I said, the town has grown pretty substantially in the past couple decades or so. So there's other opportunities as well. But that Western culture is just really unique and something that you kind of have to see with your own eyes for yourself. Now, with this Western culture, there are still a lot of people that have animals, have farms, enjoy riding horses. So you'll see a lot of people with ranchettes or just homes with small a little bit of acreages. So if you are looking for a little bit more space and maybe you want animals for yourself, Oakdale is a really great place to look into. Now, the third pro, and in my opinion is one of the best pros to living in Oakdale, is there's so many outdoor activities there. Most people don't think of Oakdale as that, but there really is a lot of access to outdoor things to do. So it's one of the biggest perks because it's super easy to get outdoors there. You're not only surrounded by farmland and a lot of rural area, which is easy to just have a lot of space and room to grow, but you're also super close to a lot of rivers, the foothills, and you're even close enough where you can do day trips to the mountains. For example, Yosemite is only a couple hours, maybe 2.5 hours away, so that's really easy to get to, but there's closer things as well too. So the first is there is the Stanislaus River that runs through the outskirts of Oakdale. Now, if you do buy a home in East Oakdale, you may even have riverfront access to the Stanislaus River, so that's a big pro as well too. But at that river itself, it's a huge spot, popular spot for locals to go to, especially during the warmer months, because you can obviously swim there, but you can also go rafting, kayaking, paddleboarding, and there's a lot of sections where it's just swimming, picnicking. So it's just a great place when the temperatures get pretty hot here in summer. So good place to go. Now, a favorite of mine, which is super close to Oakdale, is Knights Ferry. Knights Ferry is only about 15-ish minutes away from Oakdale, and that's a really neat historic town. I don't know if it has a population big enough to be considered a town, but if you have a chance to go there, please do. I love visiting there. It is the best place to just go on a casual, scenic walk, but it also has a huge river that runs through it as well too. So you can go river rafting through there. I love doing that in the summer. It's a lot of fun. I think one of the companies is called Sunshine Rafting, so look into that. They have a huge covered bridge there where a lot of people actually go to take pictures and enjoy picnics. And I think it actually is it's the longest covered bridge west of the Mississippi, which is a super, super random fact, but it's really neat and it's just fun and cool to walk through. So definitely go check out Knights Ferry. They also have a few, I think they have a few homes there still, but they have a little, very short historic downtown area. I don't know if it's a downtown, but they have a really great ice cream shop, a couple places to eat. So just go check that out. That is really neat. And it's super close to Oakdale, so it has really easy and convenient access there. Now you also, like I mentioned, have Yosemite. You also have super close proximity to the Sierra foothills. So if you're into hiking, definitely check all of that out because we're really close to the mountains here. But besides outdoor, hiking, swimming, those types of higher energy activities, we also have seasonal activities that take place outdoors since we have pretty mild weather here in the winter as well. So for example, since there's so many farms, we have a lot of pumpkin patches in the fall come up, corn mazes. We also there's fruit picking, there's some flower farms in the summer. And then even during Christmas, you can walk around and look at the different lights. There is a Christmas tree lane in Oakdale where you can go look at all the different homes that are decorated nicely. So even if you're not into like the high energy activities, there's options for you too. And besides that, there's also a lot of local parks and different trails within Oakdale. So if you are into outdoor activities, this is going to be a great place for you. Now, if you are looking for something unique and you have a little bit of extra money to spend, the next pro about living in Oakdale is they have some absolutely stunning custom homes there. I love driving through East Oakdale and looking at all the homes that are on 1 to 5 acres or so, or even bigger if they have orchards behind them, because they are just stunning. You will not find a single home that looks like the last. There's a lot of, they're all over the place with the styles. You can find Mediterranean, farm, ranch, whatever you can think of. And a lot of them were actually custom builds at some point where someone came in, bought the land, and decided to build their dream home on that land. So if you're looking for gorgeous and you're ready to find your forever home, because I don't think I'd ever want to leave those homes if I lived there, that's a good place for you. Now, like I mentioned earlier too, while these homes are on the outskirts, eastern Oakdale, and some of them even have waterfront access to the Stanislaus River. And that is a huge benefit. Being able to just step outside and go straight down to the river is really, really convenient. Now, they also, if you are looking to build your own, there's still room to grow in Oakdale. We're not in like those big cities like the Bay where everyone is so on top of each other that there's no room to grow and expand. Here in Oakdale, we actually have plenty of room. So if you want to buy a vacant lot and build your custom dream home on it, you can do that as well too. Now, be aware of it's not as simple as buying a home or buying a lot and just building on it. You have to get permits, you have to go through the city and the county and go through the proper steps, but it is something attainable to you if you're looking for something extremely unique and that's not on the market. So like I said, you'll find just about everything there. I love driving through there and taking a look at them. Maybe it's because I'm a realtor, I'm kind of biased in that sense, but definitely check out those homes. Even if you're not planning on buying them, just go on and drive through and you can write down your list of what your dream home will include in the future. Now, lastly, I want to talk about its proximity to some really neat destinations that a lot of people, even Californians here, aren't familiar with. And those are some towns that are from the gold rush era. So it's considered a gateway town because it's very easy once you're there to hop on the highway there and head over to these areas. So one that's a little bit more known is Sonora. It's probably the best known of the bunch. It's a historic mining town. It has really cute shops, places to eat. It's close to casinos up there as well too, because so if you are looking to gamble, it's a place to go. And all these places are less than an hour away. Now another example is Columbia. If you go to Columbia, it's a really, really neat historic town that still looks like it's straight out of the 1800s. They have people dress up in 1800s clothing. You can go on carriage rides. The town itself still looks like it's from the 1800s, so they kept with the theme. It's really, really cool to go to. And then lastly is Jamestown, which is another gold rush era kind of thing to go through. So these are all really close to each other in proximity, those three. And if you are in the area, you could even check out all three in the same day. They're all pretty small towns. So I wouldn't recommend going there for like a whole weekend trip, but just for the day, it's really fun to go to these areas. Again, if you enjoy gambling, they're all really close to casinos. But I think that's something unique to Oakdale is that out of all the towns in the Central Valley here, before we get closer to the foothills, it's probably one of the closest to those older historic areas. So definitely check those out if you're in the area. Now, I know I did promise you we'd go over the cons as well too. So I want to give you some of the biggest cons to living in Oakdale, in my opinion, so you are aware of what you're getting into before you move there. And the first con I want to talk about is it is further outside of larger towns and cities. So if you are looking for a job outside of agriculture, small businesses, that kind of stuff, you're probably going to have to commute. Now, it won't necessarily be a huge commute. You could go to Modesto, which is 25 to 30 minutes. You can go to Turlock, which is also another 30 minutes. Maybe Stockton, I think that's around 45 minutes. But a lot of people do commute to work just because there's more opportunities outside of there. So be aware you're just farther outside. Now, what does that also mean? It means that there's a little bit less to do, and there is no freeway access in Oakdale. So they do have the Highway 120 that runs through the town, but that is a 2-lane. So it can take a while to get through there, especially if you got some slow drivers going through. Unlike the rest of the Central Valley towns and cities I primarily talk about, which has either the 5 or the 99 that runs through there, Oakdale does not have that. So if you are looking to get on major freeways, you're going to have to drive a little bit first to get there, which can be pretty inconvenient, turning, maybe which should be a 30-minute drive into close to a 50-minute drive. So it's just something to be aware of as too. If you are someone that needs freeway access all the time, this is going to be probably a little bit more inconvenient for you. Now, the last thing is Oakdale, being that it's a little bit of a smaller town, it's further outside these larger ones, there's a little bit less options when it comes to grocery stores, places to eat, hospitals. There's still all of these within Oakdale, but just not as many options. So, and it just has that, smaller feel. So again, if you want to do a little bit more, you're gonna have to go to Modesto, you're gonna have to go to Turlock for those options. But this could be a pro for some people, because if you're into that small town feel, if you're maybe more of a homebody, you don't go out that much anyways, some people love that. And this is actually a reason why a lot of people choose to live there, is because it's not that huge. There's not like stuff going on all the time. So it's a little bit quieter, which can be a pro. Like I said, if you are looking for a little bit more options, this may be a drawback to Oakdale. Now, kind of going hand in hand with the last one, the second con is there's not that many entertainment options. And this again relates to that first con of it being a smaller town that's a little bit further from the main areas, not as accessible to those areas. So if you are wanting bigger events, concerts, other entertainment, you're going to have to travel. Unless you're looking for a rodeo, you are in the best part of the world practically for that. But for everything else, you're probably going to have to go travel a little bit, which a lot of Central Valley towns and cities do, but there's just not as many options in Oakdale as compared to Modesto, which is 30 minutes outside of there, depending which part you're going to. So you will find some local restaurants, some boutique stores, but again, if you want major shopping, you want more options for restaurants, you will have to leave Oakdale as well too. Now, Oakdale does have some seasonal events, like I've talked about the farmers markets, really nice to go to, the rodeo, the Christmas parade, but it's not like there's something going on every day of the week or necessarily even every weekend of the year. So if you're wanting those events, if you want to go to trendy bars, be out later as if you're more of a night owl, Oakdale is not the city for that. I will say though, Oakdale does have some really great breweries There's a few of them there that people love to go to, and a lot of them are kid-friendly, pet-friendly as well too, so look into that. So that is an option there. But again, I just want you to be aware, if you are into lots of entertainment, you always need to be entertained, you always need something to do, Oakdale might not be the best option. Now, lastly, I want to discuss a third con, which is a little bit more of a limited job market. As I kind of talked about already, a lot of people commute. And it doesn't have to be a far commute, but even going to Turlock or Modesto can be kind of inconvenient. However, that's where more of the opportunities are. And if you really want, maybe a tech job or a big corporate job, you might even have to commute all the way to the Bay. So that can be a long drive, could be over a couple hours, especially if you're leaving during rush hour with all that traffic. So just be aware of that. But if you're looking to work in agriculture or small businesses, start your own business, especially service-based businesses, hairstylists, nail artists, all that kind of stuff, then you can stay in Oakdale and build it up yourself. But again, if you're looking for that big corporate job, you're looking to climb the ladder and all that, Oakdale just doesn't really have that as much. So just be aware of that. Depending on the type of job and career that you're looking for, Oakdale may or may not be the option for you. Like I said, it's a very service-based economy. So if you're not looking to do something like that, consider maybe Modesto, especially because it's bigger, but it's also more accessible to the Bay if you need to commute. All right, so those are my top pros and cons. Obviously, there's more we could go over, but these are the main ones I wanted to discuss. I hope this video was helpful and gives you a little bit more clear of an idea if Oakdale may be the right fit for you. If you're still not sure though, even after watching this, feel free to book a Zoom call with me, send me a text or give me a call, and we can go over all of your different options, and I would be happy to show you around Oakdale.